today we are doing biscuits. It's pretty late, so I'm actually doing these for tomorrow. We are taking them with us. That should be the butter right now. So I am melting our butter. This is supposed to be a relatively big-ish batch. You can have this. For a more modest batch, you can do half a stick of butter. So my pan's already prepared behind me. This is something that you can do to kind of taste. Oh, I forgot one of my ingredients. The bowl is hot. Okay. Okay, excuse me while I fix my shirt. Anyway, so the first thing that we're going to do is take our bowl. It's a nice bowl. Our melted butter. Then, because this is something that I made a lot before I had one of these, my arthritis. So doing something like this a lot doesn't feel great. So Jan saved up and got me this. Lovely hand mixer. You can do this by hand though. Purely, simply self-rising flour. I'm not going to measure. I'm too tired to deal with that shit. After a while, you sort of can see about how much is going to come out of your recipes based on what you're doing. Yeah. Now I'm going to add some baking soda. Some sour cream. This is more for flavor. I'm just making basic biscuits with a little bit of bite. I want to be able to taste them. And I want the people eating them to be able to taste them. I'm making quite a bit. These have to be kind of normal, but also tasty without putting butter on them. Because it's a couple hours trip, and we don't have a way to keep something like that good on the way there and back, both. So this is actually not something you're supposed to be able to make out in it. There's just a little bit to kind of accent the flavor. One of the things that we have to kind of keep in mind is that we're using heavy whipping cream. And we will know by about how this works about what I need. Now, heavy whipping cream does not have a good flavor. It more or less makes flavors a little bit more dull. So I'm going to put some garlic powder, a little bit of pepper, some, not much oregano, we want it to kind of not take over, and a little bit of salt. I almost forgot I started off with too much at once. And see, I made mistakes. I usually start off with a smaller batch. But since we are making these for a bunch of people, specifically kids to eat while they are doing a math lesson, I accidentally panicked and flipped it in the wrong direction. And now I'm covered in stuff. Okay. I think my bowl is stuck. Why is it that I make all of these mistakes whenever I'm trying to show someone how to cook? And I don't normally make any of these mistakes. I know what these mistakes are. What is it about showing someone how to do something that brings out the worst? Okay. This is still slightly too dry. There's still some of this that's too dry, so just give me a second. I've already put whipping cream in. This will not hurt it. I've got more whipping cream, just because I have to make another batch after this. One for us, I need to make it to freeze. I'll probably show that technique, whenever I do this. But this needs to... I forgot that whenever I do big batches, the bowl does not want to stay. It is not secure, even though it is supposed to be secure. So, let's see. I don't like the feel of that. It feels just moist enough to work, but not, I don't know, not moist enough. So, and there's an ingredient that I need to add that I don't think is going to really change this enough, by just a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add more sour cream. Now, sour cream as an ingredient is a good way to give something a little bit more flavor. Sometimes I use yogurt if I need something to kind of taste good without butter on it. I mean, it still needs to taste good, but what I mean is be a standalone thing. So, add my vinegar. You can use white vinegar. I mean apple cider vinegar. I usually use balsamic, but I just realized that I ran out of balsamic, so this is fig vinegar. I'm going to put some in here. This interacts with the baking soda, and actually because I'm going to freeze some of this, I'm going to add a little bit more. So with the self-rising flour, you do not technically have to do that. What it does do, though, is give it that little bit more oomph. And I'm actually holding this thing down because it does lock in. Everything's done the way that it's supposed to, but the batch is too big for this thing. There we go. So I like how this is nice and moist, but I can still work with it. There we go. Now, we don't want any of what we put into it to kind of overpower it. We want it to just kind of have a flavor of its own. I might take honey with me just so that they can put honey on it, but I know that somebody was like, maybe after math class do the... so I don't know. Probably not. Then we'll just probably have to eat it as is. So, yay. Because we don't have any cookie sheets left, they wore out. Because we have cheap shit. Okay. Taking this off for now. It's getting in my way. I'm just going to set it like this off to the side because I'm going to need to use it again whenever I'm done with this. So I'm going to shape them. Unlike some of the biscuits where you cut the butter and you fold a lot, you don't need to do that here. You just melt your butter and you put it in. I actually like to do this recipe and dump a bunch of chives in it a lot. Chives and shallots are really good in this. You can really mix this up and make this into more than just biscuits. I love to mix this up. You can even mix in different cheeses and stuff. You just have to be careful with your mixture. So you just experiment with it. I actually wouldn't advise that unless you kind of master the base recipe first. Maybe if anyone's interested, I'll do a video in the future about my variations. Now you kind of want it to be like this. This is also what you do putting them in a bag kind of flat in the freezer to kind of get them to go like that. Putting the baking soda and the vinegar in it makes it rise more. You can do a very basic recipe with self-rising flour and heavy whipping cream, but that's kind of tasteless. Like, cause the heavy whipping cream, yeah, it's not congruent to a lot of flavor. So yeah. Anyway, this one's a little bit bigger than that other one. Not by too much. I think I'm gonna leave it. But you kind of want it roughly within these sizes. It's not going to make a lot of difference if there's a tiny bit of variation, but like you don't want one that's like this big and one that's like this big. So try to get it somewhat similar in size. So this size variation won't really matter. In fact, I probably only even notice because I'm touching it. So make sure that your hands are clean. Always, of course, wash your hands. This is a pretty simple recipe. One thing that I like to do if I have it and if I'm making them for a special occasion is that I will split the heavy whipping cream, meaning I'll put some of it in there because it actually does kind of help it, and I'll put a little bit of buttermilk in there instead. Gives it a little bit of a different flavor. If I do the buttermilk though, I do not add any honey. Don't do it. It just doesn't go as well. I don't know. You can actually make some different flavors with biscuits. This is just a really basic biscuit. So yeah, this is what I'm doing. Just, oh. So I play around with my temperatures. The truth of the matter is that I can do almost anything on 350 degrees. But because it's late, and I don't want to wait for it, but I also don't want to overcook it on the outside before it's done on the inside, I've got it to about 375, just because, you know, I could probably cook it on a higher temperature, but I usually start things off at a lower one, especially whenever it's a dumpling stir recipe. I just started off lower. Oh yeah, and I've got these way too close together. You want about an inch or two, or like, you want about like this much between them. Like, ding. Yeah, do about an inch, inch and a half, depending. If you add more, especially if you add more stuff to it to make it kind of poof. These biscuits can be dense if you don't poof them, which is good. Living with Jean and Chris, I look like I eat more, but the reality is that it's them. I actually have to have a whole plan on how to feed Chris while we're out. Yeah. So I've got a bunch of snacks and stuff that are going in a lunch pail on the way there, and so we're not just taking these. But this is what, but I would assume that if I took butter, it would have to kind of survive the trip home, so. Also, I don't think I want to piss off the vegans there that much. I don't demand that they make food that I can eat, and I don't really want to be flaunting food that their kids can't eat. So, I'm trying to make this as non-flashy as possible. These are not vegan biscuits, and I don't really want to argue with anybody. As far as I know, none of the vegan kids are going to be in the group that this is going to, but I will make sure, and I will ask the parents and the kids if there's anything that they're allergic to, just because. Now, I could have put a little bit more honey in there, and what that would do is that just gives it, I don't know how you explain it, it's like a bridge of flavor, like you don't, there's this thing that I do sometimes with it where you can't exactly pick out what it is, but what it does is it just kind of bridges two flavors together. It's something that I was taught to do growing up, and what it does is it just enhances other flavors. I just didn't want to do that with this. I just kind of did it as a, I don't know how to explain it, it's kind of like putting a teaspoon of sugar in spaghetti sauce. You can take it or leave it, it's optional. But with the spaghetti sauce, it just does something that I can't really explain. So it's optional, it just does something to some of the flavors that is just one of those things that you just kind of learn to notice. So, I'm going to break one of the chef's rules, and I'm going to put it in before the oven's overheated. I hate this one. So yeah, that sound was the floor. Which, yeah, I hate this floor, but the owner said that if he did what he should have with it, that we would end up paying higher rent, because he does not understand the difference between selling and renting. Apparently. Yeah, our rent is already higher than we initially agreed to, and I'm already still, you know, even a year later, I remember that, and I'm still salty whenever I think about it. Because we were pretty much trapped into that. We already put in our notice, we already had the moving van and everything set up. We had text messages and ways that we could prove it. So our rent is actually $100 more than it should be initially, and he's talking about maybe raising it if the property tax went up. We don't like to move. We don't have the money to move again so soon, so we're kind of stuck with it. Yeah. Yay. He's dealing with a bunch of stuff with another property, so yeah. We get that he doesn't have a bunch of money right now, but you know, we try to be understanding, but is the property tax really that high? I don't know. We know it's, I don't know, we know it's something. But some other people in our area are paying quite a bit less in rent, and we're just like, yeah. If we could, and if there was a good route from like Tempe or something, I think we'd move there, because the rents are lower. But the store that, oh yeah, that's a little bit too much difference. The store that Jean works at, see, this kind of feels a little fluffy-ish. This is what it should feel like. Kind of moist, kind of soft, kind of fluffy. Not as thick as Play-Doh. Kind of like a little more foofy. But at the same time moist. It's one of those things that you kind of have to play with. This is one of those recipes that is easier to go more in detail with you in person. So if you ever decide to come out here and visit, just ask me to show you how to make my biscuits, Laura. So here we go. I wish I could edit it, because that would make this like a lot shorter. You wouldn't have to watch me do this, each individual one, and listen to me just talk to basically keep myself awake. Because I'm tired. And yeah. I'm basically talking to focus at this point. not supposed to like it's not supposed to like be a meal for the kids. It's just that these classes are like right there. It's a group thing that we go to once a week for homeschool kids. There's another one that we've been trying to go to. There's some other stuff that we do. It's just that they moved it to a park this time, so I don't know. I thought they were trying to move it to a community center. I think it might just be for this week because there's a big thing. Oops. I'll dye my petticoats and dye them red. Round the world I'll make my way. Feel my power and show it in bed. So if you actually started off on like 350 or something, sometimes starting off in a lower temperature gives it more time to rise. You can optionally also let this sit for like an hour, but nobody wants to watch this that long, so I'm sorry. These are not going to be as puffed as they can be. So you don't actually have to let them rise, but if you let the dough rise for a little bit, you do end up with bigger biscuits. Let me see if I can do this. Currently, that is what we got. They're kind of rising, kind of doing what they need to. They're good. Yep. And now we wait. Well, I keep on finding myself singing that song, so I might as well learn to sing it right while I'm doing this. Oh, wow. I got stuff on my phone. Okay. I wish I was on yonder hill, 'tis there I'd sit and cry my fill, till every tear would turn a mill. Is go day to the morning sun. Su, su, su-la-doo. Sugo sakan argu sugo kyu. Sugo tora sargu sele om. Is go day to the morning star. I'll sail my rock, I'll sail my reel, I'll sail me. Oh, I'll even sell my spinning wheel to buy my love a sword of steel. Is good day to the morning sun. Shoo, shoo, shoo-la-doo. Shugo sakan argu shugo kyu. Shugo tora sargu sele om. Is good day to the morning sun. I'll dye my petticoats, I'll dye them red, and it's round the world I'll beg for bread, until my parents would wish me dead. Is good day to the morning sun. Shoo, shoo, shoo-la-doo. Shugo sakan argu shugo kyu. Shugo tora sargu sele long. Is go day to the morning sun. I wish my love would return from France, his fame and fortune there advance. If we meet again, 'twill be by chance. Here's good day to the morning sun. Shoo, shoo, shoo-la-doo. Shugo sakan argu shugo kyu. day through the morning sun. It's funny because you can actually, if you listen to the song a bit, as artists have done it, they've changed the words a bit, just here and there to make it flow better. So there you go. And yes, I listen to it way too much. I guess it kind of has an emotional place for me. Not for the same reason as the song is talking about, though. But yeah, I'm like, if I keep on finding myself singing it, I might as well learn how to do it right. Probably should have done this first. Darkness, my old friend, I've come to live with you again, because my vision softly creeping left its seeds while I was sleeping, and the vision that was planted in my brain still remains within the sound of silence. In restless dreams I walk alone, narrow streets of cobblestone. Connected to the cold and damp, and my eyes like a flash of a neon light split the night and touch the sound of silence. Starts with one thing, I don't know why, it doesn't even matter how hard you try. Keep that in mind, it is not designed to explain it to your time. All I know, time is a valuable thing, watch time's out, watch time's swing. So unreal, show up, step right out the window. I wasted it all just to watch you go. It won't look out. What it meant to me will eventually be a memory. Tried so hard and got so far. In the end, doesn't even matter. Had to fall to lose it all. In the end, doesn't even matter. it doesn't even matter. I had to fall to lose it all. In the end, doesn't even matter. Has no one told you I'm your mind, giving you someone to talk to. Wake me up inside, wake me up inside. Call my name and save me from the dark. Bid my blood to run before I come undone. Save me from the nothing I've become. Bring me to life. Frozen inside without your touch, without your love, darling. Only you are the light among the dead. I've been sleeping 1,000 years, it seems. Got to open my eyes to everything. Bring me to life. Wake me up inside. Wake me up inside. Call my name and save me from the dark. Bid my blood to run before I come undone. Save me from the nothing I've become. Bring me to life. Bring me to life. The outcast, my mom, breaking the frame, knocking out the glass. They tried to lock her in the closet with all the other skeletons. They like to pretend that they are kind, but when she died, they took her son and locked her daughters in it. The hell, where they showed it nearly tells on the line that they keep trying to hide under the broken painted glass. Monsters reside, monsters reside. Actually, I'm still finalizing the tune for that one. Let's see, I should pull up where I've been working on it. They outcast my mom for breaking the frame. picture beneath tells on the lies that they keep trying to hide. Under the broken painted glass, monsters reside, monsters reside. My mother got out of the closet, but when she died they kept her son and not her daughters in it. So I took the skeletons, laid them on the lawn, and told everyone. Oh, the picture beneath tells all the lies, while they keep trying to hide. Under the broken painted glass, monsters reside, monsters reside. What did they expect? They did try to make me one. All I did was tell the truth. Just like your mom, they say like a curse. But all she did was be honest. But oh, the picture beneath tells on the lies, while they keep trying to hide. Under the broken painted glass, monsters reside, monsters reside. I had not even known that my mother had told on them, that monsters had resided then too. I had not even known that I was not alone, who really broke the frame. The picture beneath tells on the lies, while they keep trying to hide. Under the broken painted glass, monsters reside, monsters reside. Eh. Eh. I don't know the tone notes for the tune, and there's still something it's not conveying there at the end that I wanted to. Does it convey the picture? I don't know. And then there's parts, needs work, needs work. I like the flow of most of the tune though, but I don't know, I wish I had music that I could add to it, like actual instruments. I feel like everything sounds the same whenever you sing it a cappella sometimes. Okay, let's try that again. Should I try something slow? Or something more upbeat like that? Okay, so still like the tone of it. Oh, okay, not the tone. I don't know, should I slow the tempo, speed it up? I like the flow of those particular vocals doing it, but there's some of it that needs to be adjusted, and I'm talking to myself, so I need to stop. The outcast, my mom, for breaking the frame, for knocking out the glass. They tried to lock her in the closet with all the other skeletons. They like to time. But the picture beneath tells all the lies, while they keep trying to hide under the broken painted glass. Monsters reside, monsters reside. My mother got out of the closet, but when she died they kept her son and locked her daughters in it. So I took the skeletons, laid them on the lawn, and told everyone. Oh, the picture beneath tells on the light, while they keep trying to hide under the broken painted glass. Monsters reside, monsters reside. What did they expect? They did try to make me one. All I did was tell the truth. Just like your mom, they say like a curse. But all she did was be honest. The picture beneath tells on the lies, while they keep trying to hide under the broken painted glass. Monsters reside, monsters reside. I had not even known that my mother told on them, that monsters had resided then too. I had not even known that I was not alone. Really broke the frame. The picture beneath tells of the lies, while they keep trying to hide under the broken painted glass. Monsters reside, monsters reside. No, and it doesn't convey any of the instrumental going on in my head either. I have to convey both if I'm not going to be able to. Vocals are supposed to complement that stuff, but I don't have any instruments for it. I can't write music to save my life. All I can do is imagine music. Let's try one of these. Should probably do this first. Okay. Good. Perfect. Only needs a tiny bit. Good. This is still on. Hi. I can't even cut off the ends in this thing. So, sorry, Laura. Whatever you can hear in here while I'm just going on like a dying crow. Yeah. I'm sorry. But yeah, that's Biscuits, and these did come out pretty well. I think what I would change is I would add a little bit more pepper. But yeah. I would look up a recipe online, or just do what I did. Just be careful, because if you add too much baking soda, it does affect the flavor. So, yeah.